This is the breakdown.
Yes, people, welcome in. I'm AJ, founder of Cease and Desist, and you are tuned in to The Breakdown, our very first episode of our bi-weekly YouTube and Spotify podcast series, where we will talk about all the crap that's going on in the music industry, all the stuff that affects you, DJs, producers, emerging talent, aspiring talent, those that are trying to step up the ladder, break the ceiling, what kind of issues you're facing on a daily basis, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. Are we doing things the right way? Are we being told to do things this way when in actual fact we should be challenging that? Let's challenge that. Let's talk about it. Let's understand. Let's process. But above all, no filters. Let's keep it real. I can talk for England. I don't want to do that, which is why I'm going to bring in two people for today's show. The first one will be a regular face with Cease and Desist. He will be the host, presenter for the podcast moving forward. That will be the one and only Jude Specter. And I'm also going to bring in this week's guest, who recently signed their first tech house release alongside Jude, as it happens, to Cease and Desist Records, which dropped 2 days ago. If you haven't got it yet, why not? So let's bring them in and let's welcome Jude and Ben, BXN.
Hello.
Hello there. Let's get the screens right now.
Yeah, what an amazing intro. Very well
Incredible.
done.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
The patronization is real from day one. I love it. Let's go. So yeah, that's basically the intro. Welcome in, boys. I hope I don't ever have to record anything like that again, if I'm brutally honest, but I'm sure I will probably every episode. So hopefully we're going to do about 100 of these a year, across loads of different topics. I know we've got a couple lined up for mental health in the music industry. We've got some lined up for bedroom to radio. We've got having a full-time job and trying to build your music career. We're going to talk to some videographers. We're going to talk to some photographers. We're going to talk to the people behind the scenes that make shit happen, the tour managers, the agents. And then we're going to get other guests and people in to talk about things like female representation in the industry, whether, and this is a topic that's close to me, whether Spotify should actually be seen as a social media platform and not a actually as a music streaming service. So there's some really contentious topics that we'll deep dive into over the course of the coming weeks. So I'm looking forward to it. Jude, thank you very much for coming in and joining and agreeing to take on the role of presenter and person that's going to keep me in check to an extent.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be inquisitive. Many people say I'm an inquisitive person. Yeah.
Well, that to be fair, that harks back to how we met. So we might as well let everyone in on it. We've met the first time, didn't we? Back last year.
Yeah. Summer.
The very, very first time you were DJing at a little secret event that Zura had put on in Bristol. Is that right?
Yeah. The List.
Yeah. The List. That was it.
List.
I was lucky enough to be added to the list. It's the only time I've been added to the list. What does that tell you? And we obviously met then on that first night, and then you randomly appeared at the Cease and Desist launch party that we held for Desistance Radio in Bristol 2 months later.
Yeah.
And I remember coming into reception, and there you were, bold as brass, coming in through the doors, which was great to see you there. And then we kind of got chatting, and we kept chatting.
Yeah.
And kept chatting. And kept chatting. But I think what struck out to me and Max from the James Hype Discord server, he was blessing me, had to run the door that night in the end. But what struck the pair of us was how, whilst I was talking about stuff, you were probing me for information about Cease and Desist and what it was all about, and you were able to get specific answers out of me that I would normally ramble off until I suddenly get to it, kind of thing, which I found really really encouraging. And the penny just dropped almost there and then. It was almost instantaneous. It's like, right, I need to get Jude on. Jude needs to be the guy that does the interviews and stuff on the podcast. And then as the podcast plan has evolved, probably since August last year, we are where we are, and here you are.
Here I am.
So I guess this episode, and I know I'm taking the lead a little bit more than I would do normally for this episode, but that's purely because it's the introduction to what we're about, what's going to happen, what we're doing. I don't want to talk about any heavy topics necessarily now. So I guess the best way of doing it is for those that don't know or haven't heard about Cease and Desist, which will be a large majority of people, I'm sure. It's an opportunity to try and put out there what we're about, I guess, and what we do and what it is and how it goes. So what I also need to do is we need to at least have a chat with BXN for a minute and welcome him into the stream. We're not streaming, it's a podcast. Hi, Ben.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, how you doing?
Do we go now for those again, nobody oh.
Right,
No
first time in it.
No edits,
First
no filters.
stream.
No edits.
First podcast.
First stream. Yeah, let's go.
First stream.
Let's get into it. Come on.
So I alluded at the very beginning that we just signed your first tech house tune, and we'll come on to that a little bit more specifically later. But what people won't realise is that whilst we signed the track of yours and Jude's to Cease and Desist, this is the first time I've ever seen what you look like, and the first time we've ever actually spoken, which is mad.
Yeah, I know.
It's mad.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So thank you for joining. We will get to your bit a little bit later. Normally we're still tweaking around with software and trying to make things work the way that we want it to work. So we've got a little bit of juggling around. So apologies if you're going to be sort of sat there, but please, in fact, actually, you can kick us off.
All right.
So. Cease and Desist. What do you know about Cease and Desist?
Cease and Desist.
Oh, on the spot.
Yeah, pretty round the spot. Yeah. So you're the you're the owner of Cease and Desist, and yeah, you had your launch party. I wish I was invited to it. Yeah. No, I mean. No edits. But yeah, yeah, like loads of.
You didn't miss much.
What actually happened then? Like the party. What did I miss?
So the launch party. So the launch party was it was a soft launch party. It was a last minute opportunity. We got offered Basement 45 in Bristol at a relatively decent rate. We'd been teetering around with the ideas of doing events. I'd done loads of events in the past, not necessarily club events. My background was, truth be told, probably about 30 odd years ago. So a lot's changed. So we wanted to launch a radio station. So the Desistance Radio is our internet radio station, which we've developed to promote not only the music from the artists we sign and get them radio plays, but also to help promote emerging artists from other independent labels. You know, we tend to work on if you've got less than 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, then we're likely to play your music if it fits the vibe of the station. But it's an EDM station, so you know we might play drum and bass one night, we might play garage the next, we might have psychedelic sounds overnight.
That's awesome.
On one other occasion. So it's a real mix of EDM stuff. It's currently going through a bit of a reboot. And there's some new software coming to the website which is going to allow any DJ across the world to log into the website, create an account and then log in, They'll then be able to say, right, I want to do a fortnightly show for 6 months. They'll be able to pay for the slots affordably, book their sessions, and then they can choose between a live broadcast or pre-recording. If they choose a pre-recording, they can then come back a bit later and upload their radio file. We'll send them all the idents and the tags and stuff that they can put over the top of the recording before they send it through. We'll produce the artwork and we'll give them the artwork, so that can go as the metadata of the file as well, and guide them through the process. But they can basically log onto the website and manage their entire radio show series and get all the assets necessary to help promote it. So that's coming to Desistance Radio. So we thought, well, when we're launching the station, why not have a little event? Bristol is our closest city. It's our nearest home. The opportunity came up, and we thought, well, yeah, why not? Let's go for it. So I had Zig, who is a tech house DJ from America, flew over especially to play.
Nice.
We had Daniel James, who we'll see more of in our next episode in a fortnight. I was on the roster, on the ticket, but I didn't play in the end. We had Core ML, top lad from Leicestershire. It was his first ever gig.
Yeah, his
So
energy is amazing.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's got his own little series going out at the minute where he does sort of 15-20 minute mixes of music from just one producer.
Yeah, I saw his chapter and verse one. That was really good.
Yeah, so he's done chapter and verse. He did Rewire, and Zura's dropped last Friday. At the time of recording, I don't know what he's dropped this week, but he's dropping one every week at the minute. So that's quite cool. So he played it. He opened, banging set. That was really, really good. And we had Jack Lever, who's 18-year-old Aspect. He was actually our first signing to the label. He played as well. And I can't forget, we had Zura come along and headline. Music-wise, it was popping. It was absolutely, the night was banging. The music was on point. It was tech and bass house through and through. There's a little bit of techno with what Zig was playing, and it was a really, really good night. For us, it was August. Uni students were all back at home. It was quiet, and it was quieter than we'd anticipated and quieter than we would have liked. Don't get me wrong, we probably had, I think it was about in the 80s in terms of attendance.
Yeah.
But a lot were coming. The venue had been doing a lot of drum and bass is obviously massive in Bristol. And the venue had been doing a lot of drum and bass heavier events in the run up to it. So we had a lot of people that were coming and going, was it a drum and bass night? And we're like, no, it's house. And they're like, oh, we'll come in anyway. So they'd pay and they'd come in and they'd wander around and contemplate going to the bar, have a little bit of a dance, not go to the bar and then leave.
Yeah.
So, like I said.
However, I mean, the people that did stay, it was really nice. Like, the people that stayed, really nice energy.
Yeah.
Nice, more intimate vibe. It was, all in all, it was really fun to attend myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, from an attendance perspective, you were there. You were, so that's good. That's good to know. It did put me off events for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. However, we are working on some more for this year. There's a couple of things in the mix. Potentially something in the south in the summer on a Friday night with a very Ibiza vibe.
Okay.
There's something really cool
Definitely
that
going.
there could be something really cool that's coming with that. There will be no set times published because that's something I don't ever want to do. I never have wanted to do it. Loads of people have started doing it now. I've never wanted to do it. But I'm not going to necessarily announce the DJ list either. But I might put 50 names on the ticket that could play.
Keeping it mysterious.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's
It's
interesting.
it's if it goes the way we're hoping it will, that'll be quite a good event. I'm also looking to do a series called C&D Presents The Bunker, and that will be a touring show around the UK, but only for 50 to 60 capacity venues.
Also, really intimate
Mm.
venues. It's
Yes,
nice.
and we will dovetail some C&D artists with local DJs, and make a proper little intimate event out of it. Really limited tickets, small scale, the complete opposite to going to a festival.
Okay.
You know, DJs in the audience, artists in the audience, everyone. I just want that friendly house vibe. I know a lot of people are harking back to the late '90s and the early noughties when it was all this big cuddle of love, and on reflection, it was, but it was a different vibe back then, and it was a different time. And I think all these people are going, it's not the same
Yeah, to
anymore.
this
It's
day, I wish I could like live those times and just to see what it was like. Just get a time machine and go back to those times because it
Yeah, I
seems like a
wish.
completely different vibe. Because
100%, 100%. And I think that what from my
what was it
opinion now,
like? Like, how could you
Mm.
like describe it in 3 words?
a blur.
A blur, a good
um,
blur. Wait, without 2 words. A blur,
a big blur.
a big. Okay, yeah.
No, it holds fond memories.
Fond
Um,
memories.
I think for me, it's what you forget when you're 30 years down the line. You
Hmm.
forget that music's music. Okay, genres are genres. They may have little tweaks in. You might have seen tech house from 2 years ago is completely different to what tech house is now. For example, look at the difference in main stage and future house to what that was during COVID. I mean, future house was massive for me during COVID. Now I hardly play it. It's changed and the vibes changed. Anyway, I'm digressing. I do that a lot as well. The
It's all good.
the as the music changes, the mentality and the aptitudes and the personalities of the people that are going out changes. The clubs change, the way that clubs are managed to change, the ticket pricing changes, the cost of alcohol changes. All these little things have changed. They've not changed dramatically. They've changed in very, very small little ways. But overall, collectively, they've changed massive. It creates a completely different vibe. So the people of my generation that look back at those days with fond memories, back then I was 17, 18. I was drinking beer and vodka Red Bull, and I was consuming other things, and I was listening to happy hardcore and jungle because drum and bass was only like a really, really small minority in what is now the drum and bass genre. Um, and we're bouncing off the walls, and there's all these little yellow smiley faces everywhere, and glow sticks and whistles and white gloves and dummies and parties in fields, and you're getting chased by police across this through this flipping long grass, and someone's lugging a massive speaker on one shoulder and another one's lugging a speaker on another shoulder, and you're legging it. And so there's an adrenaline rush that comes with that. Nowadays, especially post COVID, this is a podcast topic down the line, boys.
True.
Especially during COVID, people became healthier. They were drinking less, or they had the complete opposite, and they were drinking all the time and eating pizza. That's me. But yeah, people were exercising more. They got into fitness routines. They started going to the gym when they
Self
were back
improvement.
open again. Self improvement was a big vibe. Worrying about alcohol intake, sugar intake, veganism, eating differently, eating healthily. It all became different, and then the world post COVID, excuse me, is a different world. Clubs aren't the same. And then you've got, oh my god, we haven't had a party in ages, let's put on this massive festival. And then someone else goes, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to put on a massive festival. And then someone else goes, that's a fantastic idea, I'm going to put on a massive festival. Next thing you know, you've got 5 massive festivals, £300 a flipping weekend to go. So people are saving up. That's my big blowout. I can't wait to go to this one festival. As for the little club on the high street, I can't bother. No, I've got to be up early in the morning. I'm running at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I feel like today, going to a nightclub it's not the same. A lot of people, they don't really bat an eye at that. They save up for the big artists that they like,
Mm.
and when they're there, they're recording the entire time, and it's quite a yeah. It just takes from the experience.
It's that they've
Mm.
saved up the big artists come to play. They're going to video it because it's a memory for them. Our
Yeah.
memories back as kids when I was growing up, my memories were taken on a 35mm camera, printed off at the local boot, stuck in a photo album that ended up in the loft for 25 years.
Oh.
Or you didn't take photos. I mean, yes, the mobile phones started to become a thing, but taking a picture, you were lucky if you could send an MMS.
Mm.
You know, Snake was the game you played on your mobile phone.
Missed that.
You know what I'm
Nokia
saying?
bricks.
There's none of this photographic evidence, and I think when you dovetail that with how social media's become, and I've got to share my life with the world because I've got to show how important I am. Controversial point.
Mm.
People, they want to film the stuff because I was here. Look, I was here. Look at who I got to see. This is fantastic. But that's the makeup, and a lot of those people that get phones out on the dance floor are getting shit for getting their phones out on the dance floor. Why? Is the vibe different to what it was 30 years ago when no phones were out? Yes. Is the vibe different if you go to a James Hype event where there's no phones, or whoever else has done a no phones event? Yes, it's different. Is it more intimate? Is it more personal? Is everybody feel like they're more connected within the vibe of the room? Yes, it does. But that doesn't mean that the person that does get their phone out and hold it up is any worse or any different to the guy that isn't. They're just different people doing a different thing. And let's face it, for half the DJs and artists and producers around the world, if someone gets their phone out and is recording it and is putting it on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, that's what we call UGC, user
Yeah.
generated content.
Mm.
And I'm going to get tagged in that. And that's going to boost my algorithm. So should I be complaining about it? Not really. Should we be complaining about it anyway? I don't think so. Do I hate phones on the dance floor? Yes, I do. Do I hate it when little 5'3" and a fart me is trying to get past a crowd of 6 foot tall people, all with their phones up in the air like that? Yes, because that elbow is right at head height, mate. So it's really annoying.
Because everyone's got their phones out, isn't it? Like when you go to a club, it's just
You walk through the toilets and you got people like
everywhere.
that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for when it comes to recording, I feel like for me at least, I set a rule: 3 songs, and that's all. 3 of my favorite songs from the artist, and that's all. And then I focus on having a good time.
The thing, so I want to ask you a question because you're obviously somebody that's used your phone, and I have used my phone, admittedly not a lot. But answer me this: so when you film a moment on that dance floor, and you walk away, and you watch that moment back on your phone the next day, 2 days later, a week later, can you say that you remember that moment without the phone in front of you? So if you didn't have that clip, so if you're filming a drop, you're filming someone doing a massive build up and a huge transition and a huge drop. When you're recording it like that. Oh, I want to make sure I get this in the picture. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I like that. Right? Then you put your phone down. Right? 30 seconds later, even, can you remember that drop? Can you remember what that drop looked like? Or can you even remember with your ears how mad that drop actually was? Or is it only when you look at the video that you go, oh yeah, that was sick, and then you put it away and then you still can't remember it? Just question. Really long question, but question.
Yeah. Most of the time at these events, I'll be drinking, and the answer is no. The answer is no.
And is that
Like,
because you're drinking? Because for me, I mean, I
predominantly, I
Right.
mean, yeah. I mean, there are certain moments that I remember. When I went to Amsterdam, I heard Martin Garrix play "Like I Do," my favorite song from him. And that's a core memory of mine, and it's probably one of the moments that made me who I was today. So yeah,
Okay,
I think
okay.
it depends. It depends.
See that. Do you know what? Viewers, this is not how the podcast was supposed to go. It's not scripted. It's not going to be edited. It is what it is. We talk about what we talk about. It goes in the direction it goes in, and this is where we are. So apologies if you thought it was going to be something else. So did I. However, before I'm going to come back to that, but Ben,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so yeah, when I go to a club or something, like I do kind of like remember like just like from like okay, I think it depends actually. It depends. Like some events, if it's something, if it's an artist I really like, then yeah, that's like a cool memory just locked there. But yeah, it depends. If it's like something random, then I'll probably yeah, I just don't
Yeah,
remember
that
it.
makes sense. I mean, what did it for me? I think I went to 2 of James Hype's Get Closer tours.
Mm.
And there's one particular element within that set where he plays multiple classic melodies in one build up and then a huge drop on the end of it.
Mm.
And I filmed it the first time and everyone's going off and I'm like, well, it was good and I enjoyed it, but that's a mental reaction. So then when I went to the next one, I went, well, I'm not filming it. You could see what it's all about. Oh my God, it was off the chain.
That's just unlucky, isn't it?
It was off the chain. And I sat back and I thought, and I watched the video and I'm like, yeah, that was banging. But the video was from the week before. But because I was filming it and I was so worried about filming it, I actually missed the intensity of the build and the drop because I was more focused on what my phone was capturing. And that's what made me ask the question.
Yeah, it's kind of like a risk reward thing because you record and take away from the experience, but then when you truly live that moment out, it becomes a core memory, or you can enjoy it as much as you want.
I don't know about you, but I'm here for a good time, not a long time. So I want to live in the moment there and then, and I'll remember it, health permitting. And I want to have more of those experiences repetitively rather than reflecting back too much. And that's, yeah, I'm open. Like I said, mobile phones, you do you.
Yeah. For me, I
Hot
mean,
take, you do
yeah,
you.
for me, I'm indifferent. I can understand why people would complain. But yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's the way. That's the climate now, I guess.
And for me, that's my hot take on it all. Having deep dived into mobile phones on the dance floor, which was a topic for another podcast, but we've done it now, so screw it. My hot take is there's no right or wrong. You do you. And if you have everyone's entitled to an opinion, 100%. But sometimes I think some people need to evaluate the thinking behind their opinion. Using the excuse, it's better without phones. It was always better without phones years ago. It was better without phones years ago, but years ago isn't now, and things have changed. Times have moved on. People have moved on. That's my hot take. If you don't like it, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, if we can get people thinking about stuff with this podcast and just thinking differently, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying you're right. Whatever. Just open discussion. And we might actually revisit this topic depending on how much backlash I get from it so far.
Yeah. Going back to Cease and Desist, how did you come up with the name?
That's a good question.
What?
How did I come up with a name? So when
ChatGPT.
Was it ChatGPT?
No, ChatGPT had absolutely nothing to do with it. So the reason I laughed, It's a good story. I think it's a good story. So when I came back to music production, it wasn't long before I realised that I wanted to go down the route of having my own record label again. And it wasn't on the horizon for any time soon. Like, I hadn't intended on having a record label launched this side of 2026. That's how far down the plan it was. And then, for those that don't know, I'm a moderator on James Hype's Discord and YouTube. And through that, we came up with a Christmas back-to-back live stream event called the 12 Streams of Christmas through Hype Fam Global. And long story short, after we'd done our first 12 Streams of Christmas, we thought it would be great to do a live event. And James Hype was playing and had booked sold out drum sheds with Medusa for the Our House event.
I was there.
You were there. So we decided, wouldn't it be a great idea, because that event ends at like 11 p.m, 10, 11 p.m, wouldn't it be a great idea? I know what I'm like for a party. I don't stop. Let's find a venue and we'll host an after party. Not an official after party. It's not an official Drum Sheds after party. It's just a Hype Fam Global are doing an event as an after party for the Hype Fam Discord server and Instagram and whatever people to come and attend. And we would have Hype Fam DJs playing. We had approval for it. We had the go-ahead for it. We booked a venue in London for it. They ratified the DJ list to make sure that there was nobody booked to play that was at the Drum Sheds event, so there was no contention. And yeah, paid the deposit. I was funding everything up front, get it all sorted, did the artwork, had it all on Skiddle, and everything was tickety boo. However, the promoters of the event, the main of the Drum Sheds event, felt that our event breached the contracts of the Drum Sheds event, and therefore a cease and desist order was dropped on James's management team, which was then dropped on us, or ultimately me, because I was the one making all the bookings and doing all the behind the scenes stuff. Which left us with no choice, because we're not, it's got to be said, at no point were we trying to piggyback an event. At no point was it an official after party. At no point was anyone from Drum Sheds coming to the event. It was completely separate. So the only option that we had, because we didn't want to jeopardize the main event, was to can it. So we cancelled it. Now, obviously, I was a little butthurt over it, truth be told. So I thought I'd be cheeky. So for the event, I made that hoodie. And if I can get this off.
Oh, nice. Yeah. After party. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Brilliant.
And then it wasn't until after the event I was like, I quite like that branding. I really need to do. I should really do something with it. I became disillusioned with independent record labels. I became disillusioned with sending emails and not even getting as much as an acknowledgement, let alone feedback or a response. I got disillusioned with using platforms and getting generic, not suitable, when one of their tracks that they'd released that was successful may have been used as a reference track for the one that I'd written. So I just thought, now's the time. And Cease and Desist then became Cease and Desist Limited, registered company with Cease and Desist Records as one of the divisions underneath it. And then off the back of that, the community were ended up being affectionately known as the Desistants. So then the Desistants Radio was born, and our Desistants Discord was born, and our YouTube channel, the Desistants, was born. And yeah, that's kind of, it snowballed from there. So that's the actual story as to
First of
where the
all, I
name.
love that. First of all, I love that story. That's like much more than I expected. It's criminal that I mentioned ChatGPT. I need to, yeah, like that's criminal. Yeah. But yeah, when did you decide to? Okay, you were like, okay, I want to make a label now. Initially, because you said you had the idea, but then you came back to it. When did you first decide in your life that you were going to make a record label?
1998.
Before I was
Wow,
even born.
that's
That's age. Yeah.
So I left school and all I wanted to do was music tech and music production. I was DJing at the time. I was an early adopter of CDs and CD DJing before a CDJ was even in the marketplace, shall we say. They'd been released. I started DJing the year that the CDJ was dropped. As a 14-year-old school kid, there was no way I was going to afford a brand new pair of CDJs and a mixer to go with them. So I had my hand at belt drive. Didn't really like belt drive, couldn't really get on with it, and didn't have the space at home to keep it set up. So ended up with a rack mount twin CD deck player. If you've ever seen those, you get a little 19-inch rack mount top with the buttons and the screens, and you get a great finger for jogging the track like that. 19-inch rack mount mixer underneath it, and then 2 sliding trays underneath. And I did all right with that. I DJ'd happy hardcore, speed garage, and jungle drum and bass. Then I went to college, studied music tech, was doing all right, merits and distinctions all the way through, and was like, I want to see. I've always been someone that's into branding and marketing and the whole package, like omni-channel they'd call it these days. It's all very much all about everything. So what I wanted to, I didn't just want to see my DJ name at the time on a record or on a CD sleeve. I wanted to see my brand. I wanted to see my logo. I wanted everything about that piece of art to be controlled and managed by me. And then there was people that I knew and people at college that were putting out some banging tracks that we'd burn to a CD and we'd play on a night out and the crowd would go off. But yet there was no way back then of getting signed because the internet was like 56k dial up. You were lucky if you could find a computer and actually get on the internet, let alone know where to search or how to search. Google didn't exist,
Did you have to like send the USB to an address or something?
USB.
Like
We were on
how?
3.5-inch floppy disks, mate.
Oh my damn! It's that long ago.
3.5-inch. I've still got my old Cubase VST files on a 3.5-inch floppy in the loft.
Wow.
Wow.
So you were pen, paper. You might have been able to print a letter off. Microsoft Word was a thing on Windows 3.1, Windows 95, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to print a letter off, stick it in an envelope with a burnt CD or a floppy drive.
Okay, so CDs.
But then where'd you send it?
Things are so different now, like
Yeah.
compared to back
Well,
then.
I can't pick up the fucking yellow pages and search record labels. How? What? Where? And if you live in a little sleepy little seaside town in the West Country, You can't just, I'm just going to jump in the car and drive down the road to the local street of record labels. No, it's not. It's not London, baby. We can't just.
Okay.
And even now, you can't just rock up to Tool Room and go, "Excuse me, can you listen to my USB?" It ain't gonna happen. So imagine what it was like back then. And back then there was a lot of more pirate radio stations knocking around. And so you then had to try and get in with a pirate radio station. But fuck me, the authorities couldn't find the pirate radio station. So how the damn hell were you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
14-year-old
That's
Johnny
crazy.
in his bedroom with his parents banging on the ceiling with a broomstick to turn it down. It's not going to happen. So back then I was like, yeah, I want to, I want a record label. I want to make it easier for people to get into the industry and somehow not make a difference, but just do things differently. And we've come full circle.
So going back to 1998, um, did you ever think when you made a label it would be like this, the way you have done it now? Was this what you envisioned?
That's a really good question, because I'd have to ask myself first, what did I envisage? What did I think I was trying to achieve? And the thing with the label and the thing with Cease and Desist as a whole is that it's not the one thing that it's meant to be. It's not meant to be a record label. It's not meant to be a radio station. It's not meant to be an event promoter. It's meant to be a way of helping emerging, aspiring, I use those words quite a lot, talented, overdeveloped and under publicized people, DJs, producers, radio presenters, whatever, to gain a standing and to help build their career and get them to where they want to be. We don't care about social media numbers. I don't care how many social Instagram followers you got. I don't care about the background. I care about your passion. I care about your individuality. I care about your journey, your creativity, where you're trying to be. And if the music's good, the music's good. And if the music's good, people need to hear it. So let's get it out there. And that essentially is the embodiment of the record label and the radio station and anything else that we do. The bottom line ethos is get good music heard. Now, we're a small label. We're nowhere near where I want us to be yet, but I'm not targeting the next Universal or the next Tool Room. It's not about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in terms of, did I have a plan of what I was going to do? I had a marketing plan of what I was aiming to achieve, and I had a plan of, this is how I don't want it to be. You send us an email, you're going to get a response. Regardless, you'll get a response as long as it's appropriate. You send me an email calling me a pew, and it's just you don't expect a response. But yeah, you send me a demo, you'll get a response. You drop a demo in the Discord, you'll get a response. You want your next track promoted and played on the radio station, send it through. You'll get a response, and we'll tell you if we're going to play it or if we're not going to play it, if we're going to add it to the playlist or we're not going to add it to the playlist, whatever. Communication's the biggest thing that this world seems to be lacking. People either don't want to communicate because they want to shy away from a contentious subject, or they don't want to tell people what they need to hear because they don't want to hurt their feelings, and that's admirable. But at the same time, a failure to communicate leaves somebody in the dark at some way, shape, or form further down the line. So I know what I don't want the label to be. We're doing what I'd hoped, possibly releasing a few too many Alpha J tracks. But let's utilize him to get some traction going and test our marketing and test what's working and what's not working and make sure we're hitting the right people. I don't know if that really answers the question. Is it what I want it to be? It's heading in the right direction.
Okay.
Good.
Short
Yeah.
answer. Sorry.
Short answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask, by the way, it's kind of random, but where did you
Someone.
get the idea of the mask from? Like for yeah, for your label, like
The Guy Fawkes mask.
yeah. Yeah, where's that come from?
I'm just trying to. Have I got any to hand that's not hung up? So the Guy Fawkes mask is essentially related to Alpha J, and Alpha J's character and persona is behind the mask.
Okay.
So that essentially Cease and Desist is Alpha J's label. It's Alpha J's home label. Therefore, the mask came in. This isn't the actual main logo. This is known as the mask, man behind the mask logo. I don't actually. I think that logo, which you probably see, that's the actual brand logo.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
the monogram logo. Yeah, so the mask kind of again it harks back to that hoodie. It starts with that and the event that was created for, and just being the we are, we are pissed, we are annoyed, we are irritated. Cease and desist. This is just
Makes sense. Yeah.
it's I've got a background in IT and bits and pieces. So as an organization, V for Vendetta is a great movie. Anonymous, you think what you like about them in terms of an organization. That's probably not a topic for the podcast that I'm willing to get into.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know for Alpha J, it's about not being a recognizable face, but yet it's a recognizable mask. It's about being able to separate, and I know from that perspective, it's got young kids, so let's keep those kids to one side, and because his dad over there with the face, and then he's Alpha J over there with the mask. Truth be told, I'm finding it really difficult to talk about that as a subject because the identity of Alpha J is not public. So, and I might edit this bit out, which is why I'm keeping my hand perfectly still. So please don't move. Being Alpha J, and so that if there's no edits, we'll know there's no edits. I'm Alpha J. Alpha J is my. The problem is Alpha J is my artist and my DJ name, and I don't make it public who I am behind the scenes. My Discord server and the people that meet me know, but if you haven't met me and know me as I am Alpha J, you don't know I'm Alpha J.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I had messaged you or had known of you on Discord, but in person, I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." I was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And then, "Oh yeah, I'm AJ." I'm like, Alpha J?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me."
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, I just didn't know.
So yeah, I mean, and this is the hard part because I'm battling with myself as to do I just bin the mask, and the mask just becomes the branding of C&D, and then I DJ as who I am. I'm Alpha J. Hi, nice to meet you. Or do I stay DJing behind the mask because that's the brand and that's the persona? Because it was always supposed to be that element of mystery. It was an element of I want to be able to turn up to a local venue and DJ behind the mask, and then put the mask away, go back out and enjoy the rest of the night, and nobody have a clue. But I was DJing up there 10 minutes before. That's the purpose. The fact that my kids are both in or about to be in secondary school, I don't want to put a track out or do a mix out or something happens on social media that's going to embarrass them and they're going to get verbally bullied for at school. So yeah, I am Alpha J as an artist and as a producer and as a DJ, but then I'm AJ as the label owner and radio station and the guy behind Cease and Desist. But then I'm dad.
Yeah.
And each one of those roles is slightly different. So
Yeah,
it's a really good question. And actually, do you know what? I was going to potentially edit that out, but I'm not. I'm going to keep it because it's showing it's showing a typical example of a mental battle that an artist or a producer will have with themselves over aliases and naming conventions and branding. And even I'm getting it today. And I've been in brand management and marketing for years.
Yeah. I think it's very admirable that you're thinking about the stuff you're thinking about with your children, not wanting them to be affected by all this. I think it's very admirable.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sure it could completely backfire if I have that one hit record that goes absolutely mental and then they start screaming it from the bloody rooftops. But, you know, let's face it, there's 100,000 songs released on Spotify every Friday. The chances of mine being the top one of those 100,000 is pretty damn slim. Let's be real. But you never know. You never know.
Never know. Could happen.
You never know. God, it went deep.
Did a little bit.
Going deep on me in the first episode. Wow.
Character development.
See, I told you were the right person for this, didn't I? And Ben, you're flipping. I'm gonna have to bring you back at this rate.
Of course.
Yeah, that was a good question. Those are some good questions.
Yeah, they
I
were.
always wanted to know because, like, I go on the website and I just see, you know, just that mask or, yeah, like you don't show your face like publicly.
It's very mysterious.
It is really mysterious, and yeah, it's nice actually seeing you like here.
Yeah, to be fair, 9 times out of 10, you only see me without the mask if it's in person at an event or it's a pre-planned meetup like a back-to-back or a studio session or something, or I'm doing a live stream on Twitch. Because when I go onto YouTube, which is hopefully coming once the renovations are finished here, then it'll be behind mask. You've got to be part of my community. I might even have subscriber only mode for the older Twitch to see me without the mask on. You got to subscribe to get me without the mask.
Yeah. Patreon or something.
Yeah.
Monetizing your face reveal.
Monetize my face.
And then it gets leaked in like 2 hours.
And that's the problem, because somebody said to me once, because I used to run an LED mask. So, pardon me, I'll turn it on. Is it on or is it flat? Ow. So I used to run that.
Whoa.
That is cool. That is actually really cool.
And there's loads of screens on there that I could change. I got Hype Fan ones, I got Tita Loud, James Hype, Rewire, loads of different logos and designs and stuff on it. I run it for Santa. I have Santa's face on it for 12 streams of Christmas. And someone said, and they asked me this, why do you wear the mask? And I said, because I want to be disassociated personally with that character. I don't want the two to be combined. I don't want to be, when I'm DJing, I don't want to be a focal point. And I'm like, mate, are you serious? You've got like the most raddest mask going behind the DJ decks in front of everybody, and you don't want to be the center of attention. And I was like, do you know what? You're absolutely bloody right. And I hadn't looked at it like that. So there's me thinking that I'm trying to be a bit more incognito and mysterious. In actual fact, I'm drawing attention to myself. And that has caused that misbalance in, do I keep it? Do I get rid of it? Do I keep it? The kids side of things and the confidentiality side of things wants to keep it. But then the drawing attention to myself doesn't want to keep it. So the jury's out. Tell you what, people watching, Let me know in the comments. Keep the mask, bin the mask. Do I look a tit in the mask, or is the mask cool? Get it in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll only have like 10 viewers anyway, so it'll be fine.
No, I don't know.
First episode and all that. Although I'm going to have to change the description of this episode because it's 54 minutes in and it's way off what the original intention was.
54 minutes already.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that went by fast, didn't it?
Yeah, conversations go
Jeez,
by
yeah.
fast.
So I'm not sure whether to draw a line and do another one or keep going into a second hour. On that note, I think I'm going to say thank you to everyone that's actually stayed this long to watch the episode in its entirety. Thank you very much to Jude. We're going to be seeing more of him every single episode. Thank you very much, Ben. Good luck with the track, boys. Thanks for coming back to Cease and Desist. Hopefully you don't regret it. And peace out, everyone. Catch you in the next episode. Womp, 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 womp,
Goodbye.
womp, womp,
Take
womp,
care.
womp, 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 womp.
This is the breakdown.